You are listening to the Complete Solution Audiobook. The Complete Solution, a new socio-economic political system. Authored by Premjit Serohi. Translated and co-authored by Ambarish Mishra. Narrated by Ambarish Mishra. Chapter 2. Why is the majority poor? The majority has always been poor. Since time immemorial, masses have always remained poor. If we look in the pages of history, we never come across any model of economics by which the mass population could enjoy facilities, comforts, luxuries, and not just a few select members of society. Let us now look at some of the statistics regarding the economic status of the human population in the present world. Using the World Bank definition of $1.9 per day as of 2016, roughly 734 million people remained in extreme poverty, or roughly 1 in 10 people worldwide. Nearly half of the world's population, more than 3 billion people, live on less than $2.5 a day. More than 1.3 billion live in less than $1.25 a day. 1 billion children worldwide are living in poverty. According to UNICEF, 22,000 children die each day due to poverty. 1/4 of all humans live without electricity, approximately 1.6 billion people. A report published by Population Action International states poverty has many regional variations, and while it has declined or remained constant in much of the world, more than 40% of the population in South Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa live on less than $1.25 per day. Advancement on issues that influence poverty, such as food costs and women's inequality, has been slow-moving at best. A huge percent of girls living in poverty do not attend primary school, and high food prices continue to drain the budgets of low-income families. If you look at Figure 1 from page 9 Credit Suisse Global Wealth Report 2019, you will see that the world's richest 1%, those with more than $1 million, own 44% of the world's wealth. According to the Oxfam Inequality Report 2019, Public Good or Private Wealth, 26 people had the same net worth as 3.8 billion people, who make up the poorest half of humanity. The wealth of top 9 billionaires in India is equivalent to the wealth of the bottom 50% of the population. India's top 10% of the population holds 77.4% of the total national wealth. The contrast is even sharper for the top 1% that holds 51.53% of the national wealth. The bottom 60%, the majority of the population, own merely 4.8% of the national wealth. India's top 1% continuously bag 73% of the country's wealth generated annually. So by these statistics, it is clear that the majority of the world population lives either in despicable conditions or in a poor way. Now the question remains, what is the root cause? The root cause of poverty and income inequality. We have the everyday experience that we require money to buy anything from the market. So in the system that we have adopted so far, purchasing power depends upon the amount of money one possesses. We also know that most of the population does not have sufficient money to purchase all that they desire. Due to the lack of money in our hands, we are not able to place our demand in the market. You can verify this by looking at either your own life or the life of people around you. We all know that if we had more money, we would buy more luxury items, live more comfortably, and feel more secure, and that is why the majority of the human population is trying to be financially stronger and have bigger incomes. So money is a prerequisite in market economics, and only very few are rich. When we are not able to place our real wants as a demand, then the market does not move to produce ample goods and services. This is because players in the market produce according to demand. Demand in the market is directly correlated with production, and thereby it affects growth rate, employment rate. When the market does not move towards producing ample goods and services, then sufficient employment can never be generated. In the absence of ample employment, we can never have ample money circulating in our hands. This is because employment is the primary source for money to come into our hands. And without ample income, we can never place our full demand in the first place. And this vicious cycle continues. The money circulation is constricted by this policy. This basic rule limits the economy. The ability to produce and access products and services is limited by this rule. So without employment, without a channel for income to reach our hands, many people become dependent on others who have money, and many will have very little income as there are more people in the market and less employment. Only a few will be there in the entire population who acquire plenty of income to fulfill their wants. Economic growth does take place because of other factors such as technology changes, improvements in the legal framework, infrastructure developments, but those factors can never supersede the basic premise of the economic model that we operate in. The basic premise is that you can demand products and services only according to your income. You may be offered a loan based on your credit worth, but the banks do not let you off the hook to be able to demand with absolute freedom, as you have to return the loan amount with interest. You cannot purchase more than your income, and a portion of your income will be used for savings as well as for future security. Even if a person doesn't save a penny from his income, still he is not able to demand exhaustively unless a lot of money comes into his life. We know it never happened throughout history that the majority of citizens could demand fully. Since the demand is not to its full potential, production and employment also are not to their full potential. Thereby, citizens also do not earn sufficient money to demand. So, if we deeply observe the consequence of this policy selectively, then we can understand that till our ability to demand rests upon the money, we can never have maximum demand. This implies we will never have sufficient production and thereby employment. Due to lack of employment, we will not have sufficient money in our hands to place demand, and development will remain stunted from a macro perspective. Therefore, major sections of human society can never live comfortably and luxuriously by design. Due to such economics, prosperity for the masses is always out of reach. This system will inevitably keep deprivation and poverty firmly intact for the masses, and we are all very well aware of this problem. So in today's economic system, we have interlinked demand, production, and distribution with a common factor called money. The starting point of this vicious economics is demand, which depends upon money, and till the ability to demand is not free from income, money cannot reach our hands for being able to demand. This is a catch-22 situation. Governments and economists make many policies to stimulate economic growth. At the same time, by this fundamental rule, we are choking economic activity at the root. This is a principal contradiction of the existing model of economics amongst various other consequential flaws arising from this principal contradiction. That is why this is the economics of poverty. The majority can never be rich in this economics, as is evident by the results. In addition to this, the rich too live dissatisfied lives within this economic system because money cannot buy them peace of mind, feeling of security, beautiful relationships, beautiful environment, unadulterated food, and developed culture in which they would like to live. Also, the ultra-rich aren't quite as rich as we think they are. If they will try to liquidate their equity, then its value will drop. The issue here is that maintaining high levels of wealth requires never trading in the goods. The only way the wealthy can remain wealthy is to never convert their equity into usable liquidity. While a single share of stock is, in accounting terms, classified as a liquid asset, a large block of shares is about as illiquid as owning a skyscraper or NFL stadium. Because of this, the wealth of the 1% is largely illusory since they realistically can't use it for anything lest they destroy its apparent value. Apart from holding assets and enjoying luxury, the ultra-rich too can't do much about their wealth to create a beautiful world. They too are constrained by today's economics. If you will understand today's economics, you will understand that the condition of society is nothing but the inevitable consequence of economics that we have adopted so far. In some sense, if all the ultra-rich started donating their entire wealth within the existing system of market economics to bring equity, or if some stringent law is made to forcibly bring equality, it would only imply the collapse of the market. The money in its current role is problematic. Centralized management of the economy is not possible. The first problem is that if people are transacting between themselves through money, then this is a system in which government has no prior as well as real-time knowledge of true demand, production and supply. By the word true demand, we imply all the products, services and employment a conscious entity desires for a comfortable, enjoyable life. When people start to do transaction between themselves, the system is not able to know on a real-time basis what kind of demand citizens are making, who is producing what, and how the distribution is being made. The role of the government in managing this entire economic process becomes minimal and secondary. The citizens produce on their own, distribute on their own, get themselves educated as per their financial capacity, search for employment on their own, and avail themselves products or services as per their income. Everything is driven by the market, and major influencers are individual business owners. The knowledge of the true wants of citizens and how they will be fulfilled is beyond government. Thus, there is no resource management possible by a single body. The government simply is involved in collecting taxes and is responsible for providing some basic infrastructure and public facilities through those taxes. The rest is left upon the people themselves to manage their life. Although the government function is to be the supervisory body, authorizing body, a policy-making body, the regulatory body for the market economics, the primary predicament of government is that it has no centralized mechanism to manage demand, production, and supply. So this implies the life of people in this system is a result of unpredictable market dynamics or chaos inbuilt in the economic model. Economic inequality by design. The precondition of having money for making a purchase inevitably gives birth to the theory of price governed by demand and supply in market economics. The valuation of goods, services, and labor will be governed by demand and supply. For example, if any product is scarce in the market and for some reason it is being produced less, then bidding will take place to buy the product. There are more buyers in the market and less supply. So capable buyers will like to pay more, and naturally the seller would like to sell at a higher price. The product will be bought by the highest bidder. So when the seller sees that demand is high, then the price is raised. This applies to products, services, and even labor. The remuneration for your labor is also decided by demand and supply. For example, if a company requires 10 employees and applicants are 100, then naturally the owner of the company will like to hire the employees at a minimum possible wage. The owner naturally will aim for higher profits. Even the applicants would like to get employed, as earning some money is better than earning nothing. This is the basic rule of pricing governed by demand and supply. So the prerequisite of money for the exchange of goods and services gives birth to the valuation of labor and products by demand and supply. This means all types of employment are not treated equally. The range of services that are in plenty will be valued less, and that which is a rarity will be valued higher. A farmer may have less income as he has less market value compared to an actor in showbiz. But is this valuation correct, and is this justice? If this is justice, then why do we harp about equal rights? The prerequisite of money inevitably creates inequality and power centers. Thus, inevitably, any few people will be rich and the majority will be poor by design. Thus, the existing economics is Anarthashastra and not Arthashastra. Money leads to social inequalities, insecurities, and crimes. The price system breeds inequality in the distribution of income and wealth. Who gets what is not managed by conscious planning, but is subjected to market dynamics. This will give birth to economic inequality, insecurity, and consequentially all other inequalities, insecurities will follow. These inequalities will result in various types of complexities, corruption, and crimes. Thus, the price mechanism cannot ensure social justice. Rather, it widens inequality in the distribution of income and wealth, thereby causing all types of disharmony. So, how can this be justice? How can this be called a just and well-designed system if the evident result is that humans cannot live a good life by design? Fundamentally, we have all adopted an unjust system. Yet, on the other hand, we are making efforts to bring more equity and justice by peripheral measures. This is the inherent contradiction of our system and ultimately our lives. Uncontrolled excesses and shortages. In actuality, till we have a market system of manufacturing and distribution, no one will ever know clearly what the public wants and how much should be produced. If we look by way of logic, then first there should be knowledge of demand and then supply arrangement. But in the current economic system, goods are first dumped in the market and then sellers wait for them to be sold. Supply precedes in anticipation of demand. The businesses take a risk based on an estimate of demand in a highly volatile market. Also, many competitors fight between themselves to control the same group of consumers, which leads to the creation of non-standardized products and also motivation to control the market. This also leads to more wastage of natural resources because there is no centrally planned system for optimization and standardization. When real demand is unknown, then there would be uncontrolled excesses and shortages of labor, products, and services. Thus, their valuation would also vary drastically and fluctuate. So instead of managing resources, we create more scarcity and also artificial scarcity. Money creates power centers and does not allow equal rights. As long as we have any precondition, example money in exchange, goods in return, to buy products and services, then economic inequality will inevitably follow. Let us understand how this happens. The more money you have, the more power you have in the existing system. Since there is no system by which everybody will have this power equally, therefore people enter into a competition to acquire money, or in other words, make efforts for controlling the market, and a power struggle ensues. In a market economy, a vote is cast not by ballot but by money power. Thus, money votes are important. People with high income have more voting power or rights than the poor. Thus, money has become a commodity that needs to be acquired by another kind of effort. Money creates socio-economic problems. In a market economy, the motivation to control the market inevitably will appear, and thus various tricks will be employed to gain greater control and make oneself secure. Thus, money power will end up in the hands of few inevitably. In the real world, a perfect market is an unreal market. Perfect competition did not exist, nor any modern economy is characterized by perfect competition, or ever will it be. Competition leads to monopoly. In reality, no one finds free entry, perfect mobility of inputs, etc. Under this situation, price system cannot operate efficiently. Consumers' sovereignty is unreal. Sellers influence prices in the real world. A free, unregulated price system is bound to produce instability in the economy. This means that booms and recessions appear and disappear. The rate of growth, investment, price level, employment, etc. fluctuates in an alternating way. Such fluctuations in the levels of economic activities create a variety of socio-economic problems. The root cause of injustice in human society. So the root cause is the collectively accepted rule that you need to have money to be able to demand. The same rule existed even in barter economics, where one is required to provide some product or service in exchange for others. So historically, we have always followed this system or precondition to have money or goods in return for availing facilities of life. At the very least, some kind of exchange is mandatory even in the most primitive of societies. This rule is also considered synonymous with justice or fairness, but actually injustice starts from this very rule. Human societal systems have always been unjust or unfair because of this rule. When we put such a precondition, then we deviate from the main goal for which a societal system is required or established. We deviate from the main goal that every human aspires to enjoy desired jnana, desired karma, desired bhog and vishram in a secure environment. By the precondition of money, we are denying a human the right to fulfill his or her wishes. We are not enabling him, but hindering him or her from availing the joys of life. The system is not facilitating the fulfillment of his or her wishes, but asking all humans to earn their rights before being able to demand. This is the root problem. Every system needs a base upon which it operates. The existing economics primarily operates with the notion that human wants are infinite and resources are limited. Although, according to my finding, this is a gross misunderstanding. Human desires are finite, limited, and a set of desires repeat cyclically within a frame. Each individual has their frame. We exist because we have a frame, and every frame has finite desires. The variation of desires in day-to-day life is within a frame. No human at any given moment makes unlimited wishes or wants everything. Most citizens have a functioning mind and are not of unsound mind. They can understand what is possible and what is not. Therefore, resources on earth are sufficient for our wants and desires. We will discuss this in detail in the later chapters. one thing is for sure, that not every product or service that is being produced in this economy is scarce. Surprisingly, in today's world, the rule of scarcity is applied for every single economic commodity. The generation and distribution of not only natural resources but even intellectual products, artistic products, are by the price mechanism, which implies we assume they are not plenty for everyone. Complete happiness is a social outcome, and therefore the success of our life rests on the harmonious fulfillment of everybody's wishes. On the contrary, we have created a system in which money determines our life conditions. The valuation established by market pricing supersedes and hinders the human goal for creating and availing pleasures and comfort. The market decides which labor is of higher value than others. This way, we inevitably create power centers. You can look around yourself and from your own experiences that people who have more money have more rights and are valued more. A poor farmer's life is valued very less compared to that of a rich businessman. The value determination is not by conscious management of human resources and natural resources, but by the interplay of various forces and factors which are not under single management. Thus, the economic system is not directed towards a common goal that can be acceptable to all humans. This power framework does not serve the ultimate aim for which we created a societal system in the first place. The ultimate aim is that all humans enjoy their desired job, desired products, desired facilities, and the system should equally facilitate that for everybody. In other words, we should be able to live a life according to our wishes. Isn't that what we are trying to do and have been trying to do all our life by earning money? We are all trying to earn enough wealth so that we can be free from this struggle of money and live a life according to our terms. Doesn't everyone want a life where they can pursue their hobbies, interests? Doesn't everyone want a life in which they don't feel like slaves? A life in which there are comforts, enjoyment, respect, and security? A life in which the person feels he can finally be himself and not face the stress, pressure, anxiety, competition. So even the super rich ultimately want their freedom from the current system and live a life devoted to more rich pleasures such as arts, science, literature, and other deeper human pursuits. The super rich is also not able to enjoy life fully. Even they are not feeling safe and secure. They also live under constant threat and worry about the safety of their families. They also worry about climate change, large-scale wars, economic depression, and trade wars, etc. Even their relationships are filled with doubts and animosity. Even they feel stress and anxiety about the future, about death, etc. They are also forced to live in an environment that is getting increasingly polluted and toxic. Even they are susceptible to dangerous diseases. They also feel sad to see other humans in famished condition and they are not able to enjoy their pleasures deeply. For how long they will enjoy their mansions and cars? To go further deep in enjoyment and create deeper pleasures requires collaboration and developed civilization. They do realize all this, and therefore some of the top billionaires are trying to save the world through their ideas, innovation, their projects, and philanthropy. They are also trying to make the world a better place because we all live in the same world. We are all impacted by each other. You can see that many billionaires are speaking about education, innovation, freedom from violence, and about threats of climate change, etc. So, when we are all wanting these results, then why can't we give this directly to each other? What stops us from doing that? The only thing that stops us is an incomplete system in which the present economics is primarily responsible. The existing system is designed in a way that everybody is trying to secure themselves individually through the power of money, which means we inevitably enter into competition with each other. We are all trying to earn our rights, and only a few can possess those rights by acquiring money. Although, even by becoming rich, the goal of life is not being attained. In the next chapter, I have elaborated on a new paradigm of economics. I have introduced a new concept of demand, production, and supply, by which it will be clear to you how the new system will deliver results that we wish for in our lives. Therefore, in the alternate model that I am proposing, economics does not create a power hierarchy but becomes a tool for resource management. It becomes a facilitator for planning, resource management, and human cooperation.